So today is National Homebrew Day? Learn to Homebrew Day. Okay, National Learn to Homebrew Day. And Brian's going to brew us some beer. So I'm excited about that. He's making a sour mash. No.
Wow, really? He's making an oatmeal stout, Rich.
Oh, yeah, same thing.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty close.
Well,
And
maybe that's why you should be talking and not me.
you know, apparently so. So, I mean, we've got the smoker going, right? Got a pork butt on there. We're gonna throw on some ribs, and we got the beer brewing. We got some on tap in there because you know he is a brew master. So you know we
do see the rig he's got. It's gonna be sweet.
So, and we're gonna film the whole thing so you guys get to see how to brew beer in a technical way that I never got to.
Alright, so the only thing that you've missed so far was that I went through and I milled the grain.
Okay.
So
You have like a crank?
I do. So we're doing an oatmeal stout today. And so I went through, milled the grain.
Yeah, it looks like oatmeal.
And
imagine that.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you haven't, okay, I thought you had started steeping it already. You haven't done any of that yet. Cool.
Nope. So actually, Bruce, if you want to stir,
Sure.
just go through and just make sure we try to get all the clumps out of there. It's gonna be pretty dusty.
It looks like me making oatmeal in the morning.
Yeah, it's usually pretty dusty.
Except it's not instant.
Okay, so you're making an oatmeal stout, right? So what all are we using?
So it's going with a good basic 6 pounds of Maris Otter as my base malt.
Right, okay.
2 pounds of roasted barley to go through and give it all the stout color.
Right.
A pound of flaked barley and a pound of rolled oats.
What does the flaked barley do for you?
Both the flake barley and the oats will go through and give it creamy body to it.
Okay. I'd never used the flaked. That was different. And okay, so what is your water temperature set at?
So right now I have it set at 158, and we'll go through the grains will go through and drop that temperature. Then we'll steep it, but I think I'll shoot for 154.
Okay.
For an hour. And then the tube here on the side will go through for the recirculating while it's going through and doing the mash, which will go through and help keep a consistent temperature.
Now see, that's all too fancy for the stuff I used to do.
Or for me to even understand.
So what it's going to do is pump out the liquid from the bottom and create a recirculation so that it'll go through.
Okay, so it actually keeps the heat really consistent. That's awesome.
Keep the heat consistent and then try to go through and have the grain, the water flow over it and
sure.
Maximize get all the good fermentables out of there.
All right, looks good.
All right, I'm gonna go through and decrease that. So yeah, so on the front here, it goes through and shows like the temperature I set it to is 154, and it already dropped from 158 to 155. So it'll drop another degree while we get this blended in.
And where did you get this piece of equipment? Like I said, I used to cut up kegs and did the same thing you used to do and stack things up.
He's got those in the garage.
I got all those around as well. But yeah, so these are becoming really popular.
I can imagine.
Couple years.
Yeah, I could see why.
Because you could go through. So it's on, it's running, and heating. So it's quiet.
Oh yeah.
It's compact.
Oh, you don't get that jet engine.
the propane?
From the propane. Because you got to have a huge fire, man.
And so you'll hear it kick in and turn on and turn off that little fan. So now we're still at temperature, so it'll do a good job maintaining. We'll go through and let it sit. This will go through and let everything rest, everything start absorbing.
Right.
And then about 10-15 minutes, I'll go through and start doing some of the recirculation.
Oh, okay. Right. After everything gets kind of soaked in.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet. On here now, Brian.
So we're going through and doing recirculating. So if you look, see it's pumping through.
Yep.
And that'll go through, again, just cause that circulation to go through, go down through the grains and try to get as much fermentables.
This got to be so much easier than the way you used to do it.
It was. Before I would go through and have to do it with a pitcher and go through and slowly pour it and try to pour it slow enough to go through and to get it to drain through, but fast enough where I didn't start dropping my temperature too much.
Okay.
So I'm just draining the wort that was left in the tube. Get that out of the system.
See what you guys aren't used to? It's a young guy not hurting doing something.
Pour this over the top.
So what does that do?
That's just making sure that I get all the wort back into the pot.
Okay.
And so our hour of steeping goes through, converts to sugars, starches to sugars, pulls all the flavors out. Don't do that part. Slowly pull the grain pipe out.
Oh, sweet. I was wondering why it wasn't round. Now I know.
So the wort that's in there is going to go through, finish draining off through the grains out of the grain pipe.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I never got to do it like that.
It's because you're a slacker, Bruce.
And so this is a no sparge, so I'm not putting any additional water in there. All the water that we need for it is all from the beginning.
Okay.
Back in the day when I had to walk uphill both ways to do this shit, I'm telling you, it wasn't like this.
You know you couldn't even walk uphill one way this time now.
Good thing I did it all then.
Yeah. How much you want to bet in about a week Al has one of these?
That would not surprise me a bit.
And so what I'm hoping for is once it's finished draining, takes about 10-15 minutes, is we'll go through and we'll look and should have about 6 to about 6.25 gallons.
Okay.
Of wort.
And how much water do you start with?
I started with 7 gallons.
7 gallons, okay.
And so the other portion of it was absorbed by the grains. So we'll go through and hopefully give about 6.25, and then when we go through and boil for an hour, we'll boil off a half gallon to about 3/4 of a gallon.
Okay, awesome, sweet.
Yeah, you'll end up with what, roughly 5, right?
5.25.
Right.
All right, we'll be back when that's time.
Right up the top.
Yes.
Yeah. You come over to the side.
Oh, there you go. We got Woody up there. Sweet.
So now we got up to a boil. So 212, we'll go through and add our first hop addition. So go through and add an entire ounce. So all this is really doing, we're going to go through and boil for an hour. You're not going to get much flavor or aroma out of it. It's just almost all the bitterness. So being a oatmeal stout, it's very low hop.
Right, so this is the bittering hop. It's going to actually cut through some of the sweetness, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you have like a rich body, especially with the oats and the fruit
right,
barley.
because you're going to have such a high content of sweetness that'll cut through some of it. So
give it a good balance.
Where do you go to get your stuff?
Well, this one I went through and got it from Northern Brewer. So just they're a Northern brew company that ships.
So you buy all your hops online?
I either go to the local homebrew store,
okay,
or there's one that's right here in town,
right,
or I order them online.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because Or like even the grains, you get all those from the local store?
Either one. So
Okay.
with the current situation, with the pandemic, with things being shut down, I can order online.
It's probably easier. Yeah.
I'm home. FedEx delivers it in a couple days, and
you're good to go.
And I'm good.
So cool.
So
you can get it. So you can get it any. Yeah. Either way, you can get the stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this one here says floral and spicy. Are there other? And
there's
it says stout, right?
Yep.
But as far as dual purpose, are there other flavors that would maybe work with the stout?
There are. So you can go to with a lot of the English
Sour
styles.
mash.
Here we go again.
So there are a lot of the English styles. So you have your East Kent Goldings and your Buggles, those type that are used for the traditional stouts, which will give you your bitterness again. And we'll go through and we'll add another one a little bit later, which I'll go through and add in a little bit more of those when it goes through and has the floral spicy character. It'll just give a little bit more aroma when it's finished fermenting.
Nice.
Okay, so here's my question. Bruce,
Rich,
how come you're nice to him when you talk all kinds of crap to me?
you really have to ask that question?
No, I don't. Okay.
That seems like
We'll be back.
yeah.
Right?
Helps
It's on there.
coagulate. And
All right. So what do you have in your hand?
so this is a Warflock Tablet. It's going to go through, throw this in about 15 minutes before the end of the boil. It's going to help break apart and pull the proteins down to the bottom and help clear
And so
up.
what exactly is it?
don't
Can
know.
we see the package?
It looks
Well,
like
no, this is different. This is the finish.
Well,
Fizz and hop. Okay.
so the tablet there is like Irish moss.
it,
and
look,
so
it looks like a tum.
what it does is it actually clears the cloudiness of the wort, so that when you start fermenting and everything, you get a much clearer, less cloudy beer.
All your sediments in there separate and go to the bottom.
And so for your finishing hop, you have gypsum.
Nope. For this one, I have a Wilmette.
Oh, okay.
So this is going to go through. This is it's an English style. Goes through. It's going to give a good floral aroma. Not too. I'm going with a half ounce, so it's not overpowering. For
Okay,
stout.
you're not doing very much, right?
Just throw that in, and after 15 minutes, we'll also go through and throw in the immersion chiller.
Sure.
That's throwing this in 15 minutes to go through. Since it's going to stay at a boil, it'll go through and help keep it. It'll sanitize it.
Right.
And before we start cooling it down.
Now, have we talked
Man,
about
I
that
remember
process?
all it.
Yeah.
Have we talked
It
on
don't
camera
take much,
about
it
the
all
process
comes back
for
to you.
the immersion
I know
chiller
it.
kit?
Like
No,
on
not
the
yet.
bike, right?
Okay.
And so we could go through, when we get to that point, it's about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll go through and
Talk about the chilling.
yeah,
Okay, perfect.
the end.
The end.
It's been 15 minutes, right? You've gotten the hops where you want them.
Oh, wow. Look at that height difference.
Finishing hops. So you put the immersion chiller in there. So now we're going to.
So now we'll go through, we'll turn the power off. If you wouldn't mind, go through and turn on the water, the spigots. There's a little
Got it.
lever. And so what we're going to do is the counterflow chiller will go through and run the cold tap water through. So right now we're at a boil, and we're going to go through and try to get this down as quick as possible.
It already dropped.
And so this top part we'll go through and we'll see that'll go through and start dropping.
It's
pretty
going to
quick.
start dropping pretty fast, but why do you need it to do this so fast?
So what we want to go through, we've got our hour-long boil.
Right.
Drop it as quick as possible so we can go through, get from sterilization temperature, 212, boil temperature, and go through and get it down so that we can get to the fermentation temperature. It'll go through and stop any of the caramelizations that occur in the
Right, but I mean, so you want to get down to a fermentation temperature as fast as you can, so no outside entities can come in and actually contaminate the beer, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why we're cooling this off as fast as we can.
Yep. And so because of our tap water, I'll probably only get down into the mid 80s.
Right, right.
But from there, I'll just transfer it into the fermenter and then let it finish cooling in the fermenter.
Sure, sure. But you can actually cover it up then and keep it from
Control the amount of air access.
yeah, the amount of access you get to it. Okay, cool. So this is going to take how long?
This will probably take about 45 minutes. To
Okay.
I'll probably get down to mid 80s.
All right, that sounds great. we will come back when we have got this thing cooled off.
Come back in 45 and 45. Yeah, I'm a dope.
I know.
All right, Brian. The hardest part of brewing with this machine
So are we on?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good, because this is the part that everybody needs to know about. Okay, when you're brewing beer, everything has to be clean. It has to be more than just clean. It has to be sterilized clean. So
Before and after.
before and after, because if you don't do this right after, you're not going to be able to get it clean the next time you want to try to use it. So this is the fun part, ladies and gentlemen, where you get to spend the time to do the cleaning. But you're going to spend the same amount of time before you start as after you finish. If you do not, you are going to be in trouble.
It will affect your brew.
Everything is about cleanliness. You can't have any foreign substances in your beer when it starts fermenting, or you will be, it just won't work. So, I feel for my man Brian here because I've done this more than once. And I'm just glad it's not me at this point.
This is typically the part that's edited out.
Yes. Nobody ever...
Making the magic brew and then cleaning.
Yeah, no one ever gets to see this part. But this is actually probably the most important part of brewing beer, is keeping everything clean. That is why I wanted to get this on here.
Okay, now turn it off before I start swearing a lot.